Welcome to Inside the Firm, a podcast dedicated to small business owners and hosted by entrepreneurs, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko. Each week, they take you on their journey of how to start, run, and grow a business by bringing you inside their architecture and real estate development firm. Get a behind-the-scenes tour of how these business leaders manage their clients and foster company culture while creating new and innovative projects. And now your hosts, Alex Gore and Lance Cayko.
You what?
Hey.
We're here. We're talking. No headphones.
Headphone free.
Headphone free. Why are we headphone free?
Because you can't cage Al Gore and you can't cage Lance Cayko.
Wow.
Here's the difference. So our friend Mark LePage said that we are toned down a little bit. And this is what I think happens with the headphones. Just think if we were in a pillow fort, Lance. Came over to my house.
Pillow fort.
Atlas has a pillow fort.
Yeah.
That Andy made for him.
Yeah.
Our context matters.
Absolutely.
The headphones felt like I don't need to talk into the microphone and then come at myself from the outside when I can hear myself from the inside. It's like a pillow fort. I think we toned down a little bit. Don't like it. It's off. We got a fancy software that will get rid of our highs and lows.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my analogy.
Yeah. You can just look. If you go to SoundCloud and you look at our audio, the last two episodes, everything's evened out and it's nice. So if anybody else is a podcaster, Fix My Levels. I think that's what it is. FixMyLevels.com.
Yep.
And you can. There's like 30 hours you get free. Then you got to pay. It's not a huge amount. You have to pay. It's like $5 a month or something. It's super cheap. But the audio is way better. So that's cool with me, man. We don't have to do the headphones. All good.
And also,
we tried.
I know Joe tries to corral his guests sometimes because of the levels.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they don't do that. And by Joe Rogan.
Yep, he's our best friend. One, he has millions of listeners. But two, here's another thing too. Here's another thing also. When you're dealing with a bunch of people, some might have shitty speakers. Some might just be sensitive. You're not going to please them all. We're going to try. We tried, but you can't please them all.
Yeah. So there you go. I don't know why we started the podcast. I don't know why we started the podcast off like that. But here's what we're really starting off is, okay? I have a surprise for you. I'm unpackaging a gift right now for Al Gore.
I love it.
It is awesome. So I finished that book,
Building a
Story brand.
Yep.
I kind of ended up honestly skimming through the stuff because it was more of just a reminder and a swift kick in the butt to stay up late, get this revised contract done. So here we go. Okay.
Are you going to stick on your
book of the week? Yeah, I have a different book I'm reading this weekend.
Know what I like about it? Because you said I only get 1 to maybe 3 things per book at max.
Oh yeah. So what Alex is referring to is, for some reason, Lance has in his stupid brain this idea that you're supposed to, like, books are going to give you, I don't know why I'm like, it's going to give me like 50,000 ideas. No, one idea. Maybe one idea.
I think it's going to give one idea, but explain it deeply. And then here's the benefit, I think. Let's say you only read 1 book a month and you get 1 good idea. And let's say that makes your business, 1 a week, 52 weeks, 1% better. And if when you use that compounding, all of a sudden by the end of the year, hopefully, what if our firm goes up by 50%? That'd be great. Obviously, we want to go up by 100%. But if that 1% is compounding on the previous 1%, so you get an exponential growth result. And I think that's why it's worth it right there. Just for those 1 ideas.
Absolutely.
So you're bringing an idea to me.
So what I want you to do is I want you to look at this and I want you to pretend that you're a client for the first time. So what I've done is I have worked my butt off the last couple of days and revised our contract from a much more written form to more graphic. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to blend us being architects and graphic designers and designers in general and visual artists to, okay, can we do a hybrid proposal where there are still written components, but it's now just like easy for you to understand. You tell me, okay? So
okay.
You're a potential client.
First off, the guy in the center is extremely handsome.
Yeah. But so explain
the first page
terrestrially to the terrestrial listeners.
Whoever designed the first page is just a brilliant graphic designer.
Both of us. Because I added some things.
Yeah. So the front, it says F9 Productions, our little logo. We do architecture, construction, development.
And by the way, I'm on board with a new logo. 100%. I like that it's morphed into that.
Yep. I simplified the logo. You know what? We'll put a picture of this cover sheet on our show notes.
Yeah, sure.
The tagline I like. You added that in there, but architecture, construction, development. Picture of us. Then
The whole firm, all of us.
Yep. Then a little bit down, it says proposal for, and then it would say whoever the proposal is for.
Yep.
And then below.
In this case, it's fake top shelf, but top shelf is real.
Yep.
It's the best modern house we got going on.
Yep. And then there's a bunch of logos of what we've been featured on. HGTV, Dwell, CNN, all that. There's like 10 of them. Arc Daily, whatever.
Cosmopolitan.
Yep. Okay, open it up. New logo, all that.
Second page. Yep.
Second page. December 9th, the date. This contract is between them and us. Written scope. Okay, phase 1. Can I read this?
Absolutely.
Phase 1 of the design process is a schematic design and shall include zoning, building codes, permitting, required research with respect to the project's municipal or rural location. There may or may also not be modeling of the site conditions with or without a survey, depending upon the client's preferences or required to obtain said survey. Finally, the development of the initial set of the floor plan shall occur as pictured in the example below. I like the picture. Now, this is my first gut reaction, and I can't politically filter this correctly.
Politically, okay.
Some of, with the respect to blah, 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 it got too lawyerly.
Fair enough.
But what you're going for, I think, on the first pass is a description of
exactly.
with or with regards to it may not include it just got too lawyerly.
I understand. Yeah. And that's okay. So what I was trying to do with that is what we had before was just so everybody knows is we had like bullet points of this stuff. And so like there was maybe a heading that was bold, and then there was another one that was sort of underlined plus all caps, and it just got to be like your brain is I felt like is looking at this contract and it's having to do gymnastics, jumping all over from this stuff. So if we can condense it to one paragraph and describe it, and then on top of that, then what I added was literally a floor plan and went through the iterations.
These are what they expected. Then our fee, our deliverable, and a meeting. After our initial meeting, schematic design, then continues with the revision of the initial set of the floor plan as pictured in example below. So are these floor plans slightly different?
Oh, okay. Slightly different.
Yep. Oh.
And the way when I was designing this house, I made it a goal when I was designing this particular house that, okay, I need to make sure that I save the iterations so that I can hopefully insert this into a contract later. And I think it did that.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going into phase 2. Design development includes more detailed development of the floor plans as well as initial development design of the roof and plans and exteriors. The phase shall entail the 3 iterations of design submissions to the client, 2 revisions of submissions, and 2 meetings. Finally, the 3 submissions shall, again, I'll rewrite something and then I'll give it to you and then you'll combine it.
Sure.
Don't you think, though, then you have a picture of basically a massing, a massing, 3D massing. Don't you think that'd be in schematic design?
I don't, so keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. So then what's pictured is we go through 3 iterations in design development, and I'm showing going from massing to,
windows,
railings, doors, details, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
So to answer your specific question to me, we don't do massing right away on my side for houses. I just do floor plans because exactly. It's a good question. But for I'm telling you, I'm just over the idea of I've just honed it in that like nope. Because the problem is I feel like it's our job to condense the information we're giving to people right away into and get them to focus. And if we don't focus on the floor plans, at least for custom homes, and right away and just hammer them out, the massing is a waste of time. We're wasting fees.
Yep.
I've done that with a couple other houses not last year, but the year before. And that's when I felt like I learned my lesson. So this is me literally just displaying like this was the most efficient and the coolest house efficient design process that I went through so far, and the coolest house we're going. I think I'm just literally putting it on display for other people.
Yeah. And then I think too, what I like about this is that we're priming them, and we're priming them with a good project.
That's what I told my wife last night. I was like, this is priming them. And so on that note, I go, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have this printed in a book, Al. and a little booklet, and that's going to be my sell book. But what I'm going to exclude when I go to meet with clients for the first time, fees. It's just going to say F9 design fee, and then I'll show them, hey, obviously, when I go back, what I'll do is 24 hours later, I'll give you guys a proposal. I'll think about what it's going to take to get your project done. But they're already primed for what to expect once they get the real contract.
Yes.
Like they already know, so they're already going to understand the whole process.
Yeah.
Because before, what I would do in a meeting, and you would do the same thing, is that you get to that point in the client, you're done asking the client questions in an initial meeting.
Yep.
And then you turn it over to them. At least this is what I do. And then I say, do you have any questions for me? And then they go, yeah, how does this process work? Then I explain this process. And I guarantee, because they can't connect it visually, what I'm saying, they'll forget about it. So if I prime them with this...
Are you going to go over it and then hand it? You know what I like? You're leaving them with something too.
But I'm not going to leave it with them.
You're not going to give it to them?
No, because I don't... Nope.
Why not?
As I don't want them to go to a competitor architect, and the competitor architect take that. We do have to hold some... For me, I have to hold... we already give enough information out.
Okay.
I'm not doing that.
Okay. Now let me just ask you a question that I don't have a solution to. Came from your wife. Giving them something in their house that reminds them of us. Is there anything that's not quote unquote proprietary that you don't want another person to see, even though we go over this on our podcast, that you could hand to them, that they could have sitting on their table, be like, oh yeah, I forgot an F9. Every time I walk by that in that pile. Or they're circling through their pages.
Well, I have two ideas. The first idea is, aren't they going to get that anyway? In 24 hours? Just give it 24 hours.
Yeah, but are they going to print it?
So that's idea one. Then the other idea is what we're going to get to next is there's two pieces that are still missing from this new contract idea, and that is showing a Q&A where we ask the question, then we put up a client's testimony in written form in the contract to show that, hey, we're alleviating people's fears. Let's say it's a testimony from a contractor, and we have a couple of these where they say like, oh, you need to hire F9 because I've never seen a set of plans that shows the framing and foundation like they do, et cetera, or just flies through the building department, stuff like that. So it alleviates the fears of like, am I hiring the right professionals that can do these things? Well, contractors are always, or that their set of plans can get built. It's a contractor testimony. Yep. And then the other part that we're missing out is I omitted for this is proof of work. So literally, hey, here's a comparable house design that or that's built and all that stuff. What if we left them with that? So we don't leave them with that part. It's sort of like, okay, here's a little pamphlet
of our other work
plus the testimonies.
I dig that. Here's another thing I thought about to ask you: Are we dumb? Are we dumb?
Yes, absolutely. We make the dumbest. We think we make the dumbest decisions by just omitting like simple stuff.
Well, here's another thing. You've heard of book as business card. Have you heard of that phrase?
Yeah.
We happen to have a book.
We happen to have a book?
Yeah. Creativity Code.
Oh.
You've seen under my desk, I have probably 50 copies.
So there you go. If you want to tie it back to what my wife does, that's exactly what my wife does. My wife has her own little book.
Put it in and then say, hey, if you're interested about our process, how we design, or want to know some of the principles behind design, because we talk about grouping, alignment, stuff like that, you can look through this. The cover is very vibrant of that book. It's a book that you spot.
Just give them the book.
Give them.
I would say not part of the contract then. Just give them the damn book.
And here's the thing.
You're so dumb, Al.
I know. That's what I was getting at. That was my main point.
God, you're an
and
idiot.
here's the rationale too. I almost think it will be sitting. They'll throw it on their countertop, and one of their friends will come over. Like, oh, what is this? They're like, oh yeah, that might be my architect. And they're like, oh, really? Cool. Look over. Right? How
valid is how much does it validate you?
But what's so stupid about this is I'm sure other people are listening. Like, yeah, isn't that the point of why you wrote the book? I was like, well, no, but I'm gonna use it for that now.
Yeah.
The only reason I was hesitant is because I put a new back cover on it and a new introduction for the one that you can buy on Amazon, and it's not in that. So I don't know if we want to. I almost want to burn all those books. And there's a couple. There's like two.
How much different does it look?
2 or 3 typos.
Oh.
But they're just like there was an apostrophe or something like that. So
how much different does it look?
The back?
Is it the same general cover?
Cover's absolutely the same.
Then it's fine. We're not burning those books.
Okay.
We're going to give those books out.
Okay.
Executive decision.
There you go.
Okay, so continue.
Because I'm on the verge of burning them. So I'm glad.
My gosh. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, don't.
I think let's have two like this, but let's just have this one and this one so they see, oh, you went from in this phase. You masked it, and then you went to windows. The subtle difference, Lance, between the mullion patterns is gonna go over their head. They're gonna be like, "What? You're making them work too hard to see the subtle difference."
So
Unless there's a drastic difference here, and I'm an architect.
there will be a drastic difference once we get. So what he's describing is, I'm sorry. Again, we have to try to remember people aren't watching us, Al.
Yeah, they should.
There's 3 images that I put in this new contract that we're talking about live. That is, there's a massing image, and then there's like, oh, you put windows in. The third one, I'm telling you, once we have the engineering done, it will look different. It will look different.
But that's not in that phase. This is for this phase. You can't put the engineering, you can't have them expect in the design development something that's going to be done at an engineering phase.
That's true. It's.
Why don't you put the first one in the second one, in the last one?
What do we do? What do we do right here then? What do we do what do we put right here?
This will just move up. This. Sorry. Just pretend like these words. I don't care where you move those words. Just delete that one. Oh, I'm going to go from that to like that. Oh, that seems cool.
No, I don't.
Honestly,
I'm not on the
there's
same page
6
as you.
lines difference.
But
here.
here's what you're missing is. Here's what you're missing. You're missing, as pictured. Finally, the three submissions shall occur as pictured. But there are so. It doesn't work as cleanly as you think. How about that? Can you agree to that? Like it doesn't. There's no just like easily boom, boom, boom. Because I'm telling, like I wrote the whole thing to be very sequential. I get where you're saying that there's no drastic difference, but there isn't usually a drastic difference between the two. I'm okay with that. You know, it's either that or I fake it.
No, I don't think you fake it. Again, we're trying to be clear. What he said in the book is that everyone's trying to decide how much mental energy they're giving to this and if it's worth it. You are almost losing me with this third picture because of the mental energy to go through. And what they want to...
You just need it more drastic.
I just need it... Oh, we're going to start with a massing, and we're going to end with... This isn't obviously perfect or realistic or something like that. And it said, hey, there's a process. Oh, okay, we'll get there. Perfect. That makes sense.
But
literally, I have to strain and think about the difference. You do not have to think about the difference between a massing and something like that. When you're making me strain, and then the conclusion of that strain is, oh, they move some mullions. That was a bad mental exercise. That was not worth the weight of putting that in there. That's when we talked about in the previous podcast, pluses and minuses in interaction, that's a negative. Just something to think about. Well,
there is one version I have that actually was in design development, where it shows a bunch of beams underneath here. Like I can open this file up after the podcast and show you that there is, and it was occurring in design development. I'm telling you, it was me preliminarily showing them
that.
Right? So that would be drastic enough.
Yes.
I'm telling you though, you're right. You're right about that isn't drastic enough. It's got to be punched up one more. So cool. That's the conclusion. Anyway, so then phase 3.
Next page, I already peeked ahead, and I love this. So it's Lance talking some nonsense, and then there's electrical on one side, and it says electrical iteration 1.
And phase 3 is for us construction documentation.
Yes.
So I just read it out in a paragraph again.
This is what we were talking about in the firm when we weren't recording. We were talking to all our guys and trying to get them to understand how much work we do. Like, this is detailed. So Lance has electrical iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. They are so small, you barely know what's going on. All you know is the density. The density increases.
How do you feel about that?
Love it.
Does it get it across to you?
Yeah.
What do you think about then on the right side, while I'll describe to you guys, is on the right side I have structural plans. See the red marks? Is that bad or good?
At first I thought it was bad, but then they either ask, or I think in my head, I have no idea what you're doing here, but this is what I'd be doing at that phase. Like, oh, I'm putting in grid lines. I'm thinking about where the beams are coming in. I'm talking to the structural. You need to acknowledge that's a thing.
If it triggers, that's what I was hoping it would trigger for you is, oh, they're obviously thinking critically and very seriously about this.
Yes.
Because I hesitated leaving those red lines out.
I think
the red
you
lines
need
are
to
for
show it's basically a structural plan that's almost essentially bare, because you need to show it's showing people that there's a contemplation time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you go and you're adding on a deck, and then you do the whole thing. So that's great. I love it.
So this page works. This is drastic
Perfect.
enough. Okay.
It's perfect. Oh, I can't even. Do we swear on our podcast?
You already did.
I said shh.
We only limit it to one. Honestly, then we won't get pulled from iTunes.
Phase 4. Lance has little thumbnails of all the sheets. I love it. The only thing that maybe I'd add that you could probably do is even take your house as an example. You could do that 3D picture where you opaque everything, and you see that it all.
Well, why not? So let me describe to everybody what we're looking at. We're looking at a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and it's got all of my drawing set is like 24 pages, and they're all little thumbnails that are, I think, like 1.275 inches wide, 1.22, that's what it was. And then it's in a grid pattern, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 columns,
4 by 5,
4 by 5. And what Alex is saying was we should fill in the last 2, so it's a perfect grid, which I totally agree. That's a great idea, because you show them the 3D.
The 3D,
it's like a perfect exclamation point.
But this is what we're trying to get across to people, is that it's not just 2D lines on a sheet of paper. And this is showing the whole breadth, which I love. But then let's end with, these actually come from this 3D model.
And the page, just to recap, is this page is called Phase 4, Permitting Documentation. So I'll read it for everybody, actually. Phase 4 of the design process is known as permitting documentation and entails an internal document review and code analysis culminating in a final permit-ready drawing set similar to the example below. So we visually show them, here is the final product that you get. We used to have it written out.
Yeah. We used to have it written out in this sheet, this sheet, this sheet, this sheet.
Now, here's, like, again, how dumb are we? Why don't we just export images? What do you think?
Yeah. It's so interesting, because we've been, quote unquote, successful for almost 10 years doing it the other way.
Yeah.
It's kind of a leap.
It is a leap. It is a leap. Then I literally spell it out. So that's then we finally get into the legalese, and I just call a spade and try to hope maybe I can make them laugh. I just call it the fine print.
Yeah.
Here's the fine print. Like obviously there's going to be fine print, so read it. You know, let us know what you think. We're not here to screw anybody. We're here to be fair.
Acknowledging it is good.
Yeah. And there's just 2 pages of that, and that's it. So
you know what I think we should add?
What?
Because of that book? Just tell them, I know it seems dumb, but please sign and send us this contract to execute to get started, or to execute the contract.
Call to action.
Call it. Yeah, you can put that note on there.
Write that down. Yeah. Okay. So so the last 2 things that we need to add to this, I think, here was my ideas was, there's the cover sheet now. Then what we used to have, and then I think we should go right into proof of work. Then there should be a Q&A after that. What do you think? Or do you think that, because it's still visual, there's only going to be 1 page of written.
Cover sheet. This is what I think. Then Q&A, meaning
then a Q&A. Okay.
Q&A, all this stuff, which I think they'll be sold by that, because it first goes into, like, literally when we do the Q&A, I think it's going to be recommendations, just like where Amazon, these seem like my friends. And then they're going to be sold, and then they're going to look at all the examples at the end and be like,
okay, so the examples are way at the end.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
All right. Let's bet 100%, and let's double our fees, right?
That's the idea. Yeah, exactly. Retire early.
Yeah.
Do whatever made up stuff we want to do.
Probably
awesome.
Architecture.
What do we got next?
Next, we have follow up when someone's fired. Awesome. So when you work with someone for a long portion of time, you establish a relationship with these people. And I wouldn't say fired. Sometimes people just leave. Sometimes people take other opportunities. So it doesn't matter how they leave the company that you're working with. But let's say you're working with a developer, and they have a project manager that you're doing most of the work through. And all of a sudden they are either fired or they leave or something like that. And the first thing that we always do is we normally get that information from the owner or from the office person or whatever, and says, hey, Joe Bob is no longer with us. Please contact Jim Bob.
Jim Bob, yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Bob, Jim Bob.
Yeah. Like, okay, no problem. And then we'd ask for a meeting, go meet him, whatever. We then reach out to Joe Bob.
The guy who got fired.
Yep.
Or laid off. Or just left. Whatever.
Yeah. And then first ask what happened in case, honestly, I think just that was our initial idea.
And you know what?
There's a two-part.
There's a subtlety, though. I want to interject here. There is a subtlety in how you ask what happened. You're not going to know that you're not going to go right into the meeting and go, dude, how'd you get fired? At the end of the day, usually what happens is I would say focus on, hey, how's everything going, man? How you been? Those kind of general questions.
And if you like them, which that's normally who you contact, how can I help you?
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Yeah, exactly. If you present it as how can I help you, then all of a sudden they will start to open up and spill the beans to an extent, about what happened, kind of give you some feedback about maybe the internal workings of who you're working with.
But that how can I help you is actually genuine because we only reach out to the people that we like. And then later, let's say it's not coming up. You can ask, hey, you can say, you don't have to tell me I'm okay with this, but just what happened? Just, I want to know. And normally they'll tell you or just say, sometimes it's just different personalities. I wanted to move on. All good. So,
yep.
Couple examples. Can you think of one example? I bet you can.
Sure. Absolutely.
You don't have to say names, but you can just give like the semi-story.
His name is Fred. So let's say the most recent example, which is here's why here's the kind of the gold at the end of the rainbow, the honeypot that we're getting to is. So there was a developer that we were trying to get a bunch of work. We were trying to coax into, hey, let's be your routine architect, that sort of thing. So we're working with this project manager. Project manager got let go. We reached out to him like we talked about. And then the conversation culminated with, hey, here's where I'm headed in the future. Is I'm talking to these other developers, and they are looking for other architects to work with. Would you guys be interested in me, getting in touch with you guys, and maybe we can work together in this capacity? So as soon as somebody gets laid off, leaves, whatever, however they leave that initial company, know that what that does is it opens up another opportunity to get in touch with whoever they're gonna be working for or with, so you can branch out one more time.
Yeah, I think that's
every single time it's an opportunity. It's like whatever happened to them is an opportunity for you and them. Think about it positively.
I have another opportunity. So you made this contract, which I think is going to be great. But we also talked in the car yesterday about how sometimes it's just who's in front of the client at the time that they're ready to make the decision, right? So there's the concept of constant contact. I think that's even the company, right?
Yep.
Where you keep them in front of emails and all that. And if we are thinking about expanding, why don't we, we have a folder full of these contracts that we start from. Me and you pull from and we make from. Why don't we formalize our process so that we have maybe it's in a Word document, say, okay, once you send that out, you give them the book, you give them this. If they don't respond back in 3 days, you send an email like this. In a week, here's your general thing. And we can have those written.
Oh my gosh.
So now when we expand, we say,
oh my gosh. Dumbest, stupidest guys. Dumbest, smartest guys. That's awesome. Absolutely. Why don't we formalize the process? And what Alex is getting at is like formalize the process for if we franchise and we start putting people in the position of sales, now they have their own template.
Yeah.
Yep.
That we can update.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yep. And then we can give our little. And the other thing I've been trying to we should both do this year. Maybe you already have is keep a damn spreadsheet. Okay. Met them at this time, got in touch with them. So we should have a check. There should be a testimony of how you do it, plus an example, and then here's how we actually keep track of it too.
I did try that once, and it just got lost in the foray of keeping up. But if you have, I don't know, if we have that process, maybe that process can be indicated in. Maybe that was probably the hard thing. Like, okay, you keep track and then you lose track because you don't have check-in times. So if you have this laid out in check-in times, Then you can enter it in and say, what are they on this email? Are they on this phone call? Green light, yellow light, red light. What's going on?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Love it.
Okay. Now.
So in summation, if you are working with somebody and they get fired, let's say they're a project manager for a big developer, use that as an opportunity to get in touch with them, go have coffee, and and try to help them as much as you can, because maybe you have references to other developers that you'd recommend them to, and then know that it is an opportunity for you to branch out one more time, connect with other people. Maybe you become their architects.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, now let's go to our best friend Nick for Nick Reads.
So glad to have him back.
Hello, best friends. It's good to be back. Sorry I missed you last week. It's completely my fault. I own that. To the extreme. Our reading. Stop chasing fads and build enduring principles. Build a brand, not a style. Styles and fads come and go. Brands built on principles endure. If you want to scale your business, you need to build a principle-driven brand, not a style. Brands represent a set of values that serve clients over time. Fads and styles serve a limited number of clients for a limited period of time. Building a brand means focusing your energies on establishing trust with clients. Trust signals that you are client-focused, consistent in quality, and exceptional at service. Method matters. As you build your firm, you want to be known for your method of value creation. This applies to both products and service companies. The better, smarter, and more effective you are at creating value, the stronger your venture will grow. If you focus only on style, you are in a weak position if your style becomes unfashionable. R. Gensler. Lance. Went to the International Builder Show last week. Wow. What an amazing gathering of products for residential design and construction. From a residential architect's point of view, beats anything I've ever been to put on by the AIA. I met Tom Silva, toured the floor with Bob Borson, saw Matt Reisinger's crew, although I didn't get a hat. There was a girl dressed in glowing orbs. Devin Tilley was there. It is an event to attend. Toodles!
Oh, Nicholas. It's glad to have you back.
I'm glad that he said that about the Builders Show. I was talking to the guys yesterday, and they actually had some good suggestions for Revit of how to improve the options. And our guys are heavy in options, so I think it's very applicable.
Design options.
Yep. And Bob goes to Autodesk U, and he's like, you need to come out because I need to introduce you to the Autodesk guys. And I think it's time to start going to at least a convention a year. Like, you should go to a convention a year. I should go to a convention a year. It doesn't have to be, I'm not saying we have to go to the same one, but I don't know. I just feel like it's...
I'll be lonely if I don't go without you, Al.
No, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
We should time it so we go with people like Nick and
Devin
and like Mitch Taylor. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The one thing I was taking from this was I was also looking at different architecture firms' websites and how we're trying to market because we're on the internet. And I looked at Zaha Hadid's website. It's absolutely terrible. Hard to navigate.
Oh my God.
It's crazy. Morphosis, I looked at theirs. Very beautiful and clean and awesome. And then I was looking at Gensler's website because Gensler, we've been reading from it. And other than pictures, I almost think it's hard to get across what's going on and what he's saying here. How do you tell someone, and we've been struggling with this, that you're bringing value, that you're bringing construction knowledge, all this other stuff. Yeah. And I almost think it comes from the website is maybe just a portal to meet, where then you convince them themselves, or they heard through another person like, oh yeah, I worked with them for 6 months. They were amazing. They did this and this and this. It's hard to convey all that you are through a website, I think.
And clearly. And in a terse way. That's where I think we get... I mean, you just kind of... You put me... That's exactly what happened when you read through. Is you were like, Lance, you're being that's too lawyerly. It needs, exactly. And this is the struggle. This is the freaking struggle. And this is why we're trying to redo this stuff and figure it out. Of how do you do it cleanly, concisely, without being too wordy. That's my problem with these damn books that about these building a story brand and stuff. Is I'm like, oh, for a product.
It makes more sense.
It makes more sense. But for a service like this, that is really hard to get there. Admittedly hard to get there.
I agree, because the examples I was bringing up were Apple, Tesla, Google.
And they bring them up in that book.
Yep. But those are all basically products. Even Google, because you're typing in. Is there a very clean service marketing? I don't know. But then I brought up the architects. You look at Zaha Hadid, you know what you're going to get. Morphosis, Gary, and they're very, very clear. The only so I don't have this is just conversation.
No, this is our struggle. And hopefully keep following us, and maybe if we figure it out, then we'll help everybody else figure it out. I don't know.
and one of the common solutions to this is to focus only on one thing. So someone would tell us, "Oh, you only need to be you only need to design breweries." Then it's very easy to get across, because then everything aligns with that thread. Oh, not only, we even hired a guy that worked at a brewery while he was in architecture school, and then we know the ins and outs. Here's all the examples, and then you can pull that depth through pretty logically. But if you're not relegating yourself to one thing, I don't know.
But yeah, exactly. So it's like double-edged sword, right? If you relegate yourself to one thing, cool, get it across. If you don't, well, then you're not following art's principles, and you're not building a sustainable brand.
Yeah. But they also talked about how it could be, you could run that thread through, everyone has their tabs, hospitality, residential. So, our residential tab could run that thread through. Our multifamily could run that thread through. Are we then limiting ourselves on stuff that we haven't done yet? Yes. But we haven't been too successful doing stuff we haven't done yet either. We haven't got stuff we haven't got yet either.
Yep.
But don't you like that then? If you have your tab, I'm just thinking about a website, residential, and just go really deep on that in the process and why your firm aligns to it. They're not going to go to the other side, to let's say we do hospitals.
Yeah.
Because they don't care. They're like, can they do my house well? Yeah, okay. They have a team that only does houses. Great.
There you go. Yeah. Only townhomes, etc.
Yeah.
Cool.
Etc.
Etc. You have a surprise for me, right?
I just have a student wrote to me, emailed me, and then we had a phone conversation after that.
Oh.
And I want to bring up one thing he asked that I think might be pertinent to other people. So he has his architecture, and he's in the architecture school, has his portfolio, but then also he has a passion. He does his passion also. And that essentially is he's up in the boundary waters of Minnesota. He goes to NDSU, North Dakota State. And, he likes to help out. He's also built, stuff on islands out there. Yep. It's like, how much should I highlight that? That
he's built stuff on islands?
That he's going to take the 3 months off after school to go do that for one last time. And I go, I don't think you should highlight it that much, but I would highlight that you've done the construction part. And I go, here's going to be the real test, because you can bring it up. And I probably, I don't know, it'd be hard to secure a job and then go 3 months. I almost think that's impossible right now. But this is what I'm getting at, is that they're going to see your portfolio, and then they're going to see your passion too. And either that passion is going to enhance your portfolio or it's going to detract, and they're going to know by looking at your portfolio. So if you come and you say, "Hey, I'm a musician too, and I'm in the chorus," and if somehow your portfolio is awesome, magical, it just everything is tight. There's some nuance, sophistication. You'd be like, "Wow, somehow that correlates, and somehow that's helping them out. They do an awesome job." Or if they do that and they say, they do this every weekend and their portfolio sucks, oh, I know where your priorities are.
Exactly. That's where you led me there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I go, I don't know you. I don't know if your portfolio sucks or not, but that will be what tells. And honestly, if your portfolio sucks, maybe you shouldn't bring up that passion, because then they'll just have the proof, right?
Yeah.
He sent me his portfolio, and his portfolio is awesome. I'm going to redline it and get back to him, but it's not detracting from what this kid is doing. So you can bring it up at the end and say that, but I just don't buy that somehow.
It should be the highlight. I think it just helps you look more well-rounded at the end of the day. It's sort of like that stuff is an exclamation point on something that is already great if it's your portfolio.
Yeah. But my value of that is very low, because if you can't execute in here, I don't care. I don't care that you're well-rounded out there. But if you can execute here, then I like that you're well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, cool.
Next segment is going to be A.R.E. Jeopardy. So we'll bring in the guys. Okay, so here we go. We have our contestants back. We have Gresh, Mark, and Jason again. 4 questions, guys. The first one has to do with water, and I formatted this one more in the form of Jeopardy, right? So a retention pond is A, an elongated depression in the land surface that is at least seasonally wet. B, designed to hold a specific amount of water indefinitely. C, where deep thoughts come from. D, a low-lying area that is designed to temporarily hold a set amount of water while slowly draining to another location. So would you like me to repeat any of those? Or, okay, a retention pond.
Is.
Do. One down. Mark's in the quickest. Then
Jason's
Jason.
down. Gresh is
Okay.
down.
So the answer is B. D. Awesome. So this is why
What
I
is
asked.
B? What is B?
I'll tell you.
So a retention pond is.
Yeah. A retention pond is designed to hold a specific amount of water indefinitely, right? So there's retention and detention, and we talk about these on all of our projects. Here's how you remember the difference, right? Retention, you are retaining it forever, like you're pregnant, retaining it. Detention, you get detention, you get let out after an hour. So that's D. It's for a set amount, right? So no check marks for you guys.
And
obviously, where deep thoughts come from is a reflection pond. And then the elongated depression that holds water for a little bit is a swale.
And I'm telling you guys, this is how it works when it comes down to testing is these really weird, ways of twisting words and stuff like that, and double negatives and triple negatives and all kinds of stuff. So,
But
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
If you know the core, that retention, retains, detention, you get let out from school.
You got to make up stupid little crap like that for yourself to remember. I'm not joking. It's the only way I did it.
Okay. Next question. What is the max length of an accessible ramp? A, 12 feet. B, 24 feet. C, 30 feet. D, 36 feet. So this is a ramp before you have a flat break. How long can it be? So let's say you're going from one level to another level, right? You got a ramp. The slope is ADA. Okay, how long can it be before you have a break? Have to have a break. A, 12 feet. B, 24. C, 30. D, 36.
Yep. What is the maximum length that ramp can be, you ADA monsters? We got 1 down. Jason's down.
2 down.
2 down.
Okay.
3 down.
Reveal your answers. C, B, and C. The answer is C, 30 feet.
Gresh gets a check mark.
Yep.
Jason gets a check mark. Mark gets a strikeout.
Yeah. So you can only go 30 inches high, and your slope max is 1 to 12. So then 30 inches,
Right.
30 feet.
Right? We do group homes. We got to know that. Okay. On a recent field observation, you observed a framer cutting the webbing of prefabricated trusses. What should you do? A, instruct the framer to stop. B, instruct the general contractor and ask him to stop the framer. C, take a photo and note this observation in your field notes. D, pretend you didn't see anything as it's the general contractor's responsibility. You are in the field. You saw a framer cut a truss.
Yep. That came from the factory.
Yep.
It's not supposed to be cut.
What do? A, instruct the framer to stop. B, instruct the general contractor and tell him to stop the framer. C, take a photo and note this observation in your field notes. D, pretend you didn't see anything as it's the general contractor's responsibility. 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. All right, let's see. B,
A, B.
The correct answer is C. Take a photo and note the observation in your field notes. Now, here's a lesson, guys. No, we will get. So one of the guys said, I won't name names, said, tell him to stop, right? No, if we're architects, we are architects. We are not constructors, okay? If we start giving directions in the field, then we cross the line and we know, like if we tell somebody to do something in the field, we're
taking responsibility for it.
And our insurance will go, no. And then we're in big trouble. So all you do is you just report what you saw. You just say what you saw. That's why there's construction. It's called construction observation.
Yep. But in your field notes, you report that back to the owner and probably
the contractor.
Contractor.
Hey, we noticed X, Y, and Z.
But when you are listening to, studying, what the people will tell you is that that's what the A.R.E. wants to hear. But there's also the practicality of what you are gonna do. And what that might be, you might walk over to the contractor because you might know him, and you might say, hey, do you see what he's doing? You're just observing. Do you see what he's doing? And then he might say, like, what is he doing? Or yes, and this is why, and whatever, and you still take a picture and observe it. But that's the real answer you can ask the contractor, do you see what's going on?
Non-A.R.E. question, as it pertains to this little segment of the show. Do you think we've ever seen that? Yes. Absolutely. I'm sure every architect has seen it at least once. You can't do that, okay?
I know they can't hear, but have you seen pictures of our other guy in the back's house where they put a pipe and they just cut one of the beams right close? It's crazy what you'll see.
Yeah.
We'll have them pull up that picture.
So, but again, that is we've taken the test, so I'm telling you, it gets tricky like this. Okay, ready? Last one. You receive a phone call from a contractor stating that after he has loaded a beam in the field with a second story, that it is drastically deflecting. After reviewing the structural drawings, you and the structural engineer find that the drawings were never updated to specify the correct wide flange. Who is responsible for the cost of the construction change? A, you the architect. B, the structural engineer. C, the contractor. D, the client. Yes. Okay, I'll repeat like the last question too. Who is responsible for the cost of the construction change? A, you the architect. B, the structural engineer. C, the contractor. D, the client. We've got 1 down, 2 down, 3 down. What do we got? D, A, D. Correct. D is responsible, the client. It's their building. Even though you screwed up, and even though you plus the structural engineer did not specify the right wide flange or beam or whatever it is on the drawings, because of maybe it was an internal error, you didn't catch the right red line, that sort of thing, it is actually on the client. The client's going to be pissed off at you. How do you think, and this is a sort of a follow-up question, how would you guys attack? How would you try to soften that blow to the client? If you were in our positions, you were the ones taking the heat, what would you do? Do you have any ideas?
Organize a meeting with the structural engineer.
So the idea was organize a meeting with the structural engineer and the owner.
I like that.
That's a good idea. I think that's what you have to do, and you have to be solution oriented. And then you say, this is how we'll fix it, and we're going to fix it for free. On our dime, but they do have to pay for the construction. It's their building, it's their property. So there you go.
There you go.
There you have it.
We have a tie, so we need a tiebreaker, and there's 2 ways to do this. We can do 1 round of rock paper scissors, or I can ask you questions from these notes that you haven't seen, and you guys can try to get them right. So
what is this now? Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Question?
This
Questions?
is a tiebreaker?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so this breakdown, everyone should know the phases of architecture. Schematic design, design development, construction documents, bidding and negotiation, and then construction admin. So there's a general rule for how much percentage of the cost, or the time.
Design
it is.
fees.
Yep, design fees. So I'm going to start at the top, and if you both get the same percentage, are we going to do closest? Or if they get it, how do you want to do that?
Well, maybe you should ask. I'm looking at your screen. Maybe you should. Can you just ask out of all of these, which one should be the highest fee?
Oh, okay. Out of all of these, which one is the largest portion of your fees? Okay. So here they are again: schematic design, SD; DD, design development; CD, construction documentation; BD, bid negotiation; CA, construction admin.
And these all equal up to 100%.
Yep.
Which one is the largest
And
portion?
then we'll just go down the list. What's the second largest? Third,
Okay.
Okay. Reveal. CD and CD. You guys are correct.
Everybody?
Yeah. Everyone is correct.
Okay.
Okay. What is the second largest?
There you go. What is the second largest? Schematic design.
Design
development. Bid negotiation. Construction admin. Second largest of your contract.
According to these notes that you have never seen in your life.
In your life.
Ready? Bid negotiation. DD. Wrong.
Do the least now.
Okay. What is the least?
You gonna read them?
I can't. Yeah. Schematic design, design development, bid negotiation, construction administration. Obviously not CDs. What is the least?
All right. We have 3 answers.
Bid negotiation.
Damn it.
Bid negotiation.
What a
Correct. Okay, who's going to get the closest to this percentage? What percentage is schematic design?
There you go. Wait, we should have asked that from the beginning.
Yeah.
What a terrible idea.
I love
had.
how Gresh, you said it was the second largest and then the lowest. Schematic design, percentage-wise.
Yep. Percentage-wise, schematic design. What is the number? Do we have 3 answers? We're the last one. Okay, we have 3 answers.
20, 15, 30. Mark is correct. Gresh is second. Jason is third. It is 15.
All right. So the winner today is Mark, yes?
No.
Gresh.
So Gresh is king of the office and whatever privileges that entails. That's it for the podcast. I think we're going out to lunch.
I think we are going out to lunch. If you like what you heard today, please share it with a friend, share it with a coworker, share it with somebody, even if it's not architecture related, even if it's if you're just another professional and you want to hear some good professional
Send
advice.
it to your mom.
Yeah, she would love to hear it. How can people support us, Al?
2 ways you can buy the book, The Creativity Code. It's about architecture and making systems to make your business practice more efficient. If you are getting into Revit, go into revitfurniture.com. There's tips, tutorials, templates, files, everything you need to know. It comes from a past of teaching hundreds of students and maybe only close to 100 professionals too. So it's tried, true, and tested. Everyone at our firm learns this way. So revitfurniture.com. And that's all we got today.
Follow us on the Twitter. Follow us on the Facebook. Write to us. We want to hear from you. We'll see you next week.